Okay, okay. Spoken.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Sorry I took a bit of time. I'm just working on my stand. Okay,
Alrighty.
cool. Great. What's up? You've been good?
I'm good. What's going on?
Nothing much. Just trying to fight this life thing.
Hey, man, I know what you mean. Life is going
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Life is going on. How was your day?
Um, my day was good. It was very productive. It was very productive.
Mm,
So thank God for that. Some days are better than others. So very good that it was productive.
okay. Cool, man. Shall we get straight into the things?
Yeah, sure. I'm messing with filters. Dear Lord, what is going on?
You always do this when you're on Instagram Live. You like these photos, eh?
Oh my God, you noticed.
Yeah.
What's
I
going on?
when we were on a live with Nali, you were doing the same thing.
When I was on the live with who?
Remember when we were on a live with Nali?
Oh,
Yeah, you were doing the very
so
same thing.
fascinating. I mean, this is cute. I like this. I'm gonna keep this. It's giving vintage.
Yeah, it's nice. So introduce yourself. Who is Spoken Priestess? Where is she from? What's going on?
Um, SpokenPriestess is the African pop-up girl. I am an Afrobeats DJ. I'm a pan-Africanist, and I'm a big dreamer. That's who I am. I was born in Limpopo, and I moved to Pretoria for school. And I've been in the city since, I guess. It's almost been 20 years now living in Pretoria and Joburg, like in between Pretoria and Joburg. And yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe it's been 20 years. Yo, guys, guys.
Yeah. Well, it was your birthday last week.
I know. Oh, dear Lord. Like, guys, oh, wow. I don't like life is so bizarre. Like, I'm 31. I can't believe it.
That's Chai. How does it feel being 31?
It feels unreal. It just feels like years are passing by, and next thing there's a number assigned to your name, and it's like, I don't think I'm 31, but okay. But I think it also gives you like an aspect of reflection where you get to sit and think, oh my God,
Mm,
I've been alive for 30 years. And then what? Like,
3 decades.
what's been happening? Where has the time gone? You know what I mean? And you really start to think a
Mm,
lot about what am I doing? Where am I going? And yeah, it's quite interesting. I think growing up is just so bizarre, to be honest. But yeah.
it is, man. Mine came with back pain. My 31st came with back pain.
What?
I feel
How old
that
are you?
now.
How come you were so much younger? How old are you now?
Oh, I'm 31. I turned 31 in April.
What guys, siyakhula, hey? Like sibadala.
feel like good.
Back pains, but it was not from sitting for long. And also, we just came from a pandemic, so a lot of our bodies are probably just broken, you know?
Mostly it's because of that. Because I work from home and I'm always in front of the laptop sitting down. So
Yeah, you need
sit
to
around
reset
about
your body,
8 to
man.
10
You need
hours a
to get
day.
moving. Yeah, you need to get moving and reset your body a bit.
Yeah, but sometimes you get lost in the work and then you forget that hey, you've been sitting in the same spot for 2 hours.
I know, but we have to do better. If you know better, you do better. So otherwise,
True.
like I feel like our generation, like there's just so many things happening in our generation that if we're not careful, like our bones will be breaking by 50, whereas our grandparents are so strong. Like we're stuck on our phones, we're stuck on our laptops, we're not moving, we're not going outside. Like, yeah, it's high risk.
Hence the back pain.
Yeah.
Mm. Tell me, how did this the African Powerpuff Girl come about?
It just came about. Where did I even get it? I don't even know. It just came about. Because I
Did
love
you
also
give yourself?
watching, you know. Hey?
Sorry to interrupt you there. Did you give yourself the AKA?
I don't know. I can't remember. I really can't
Can't
remember
remember.
how the African Pop-Up Girl came about. When did it even start? I think it started about a year ago because it is very recent. Um, and what
Yeah.
the hell? When did I even get it? I don't even know where I got it, but it probably comes from like my Africanism and just also probably from my outfit and my energy, where it's like I'm the African Pop-Up Girl, you know? But that's
Mm.
basically it. Like, I don't know. I really can't tell you where I got it from. Did somebody give it to me? I can't remember. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. But I just remember resonating with it in terms of being an African superhero, right? Like being an African Powerpuff
Mm.
Girl, and everything about me is giving Powerpuff. Like it's very Powerpuffy. It's
Mm.
very playful, it's very colorful, it's very high energy, so it makes a lot of sense. So, SpokenPriestess, the African Powerpuff Girl, it just stuck. Like,
And
I don't know if I got it
it helps so
myself.
well.
Yeah, and people seem to like it. Like, people are like, yeah, you should call yourself African Powerpuff Girl. Or, like, some people are saying that if I were to drop an album or whatever, or something I drop should be called Powerpuff Girl. African
Definitely.
Powerpuff Girl. Even Roger Good on 5FM was like, you know, if you wanted another name, you could call yourself African Powerpuff Girl, actually. And I'm like, actually works.
Yeah, I vote for the album. It would be a very dope album title.
I think so. I think my project should be called African Powerpuff Girl for sure. I agree.
Cool. Speaking about projects, let's get into the things, man. So, how did you get into radio?
I've always loved radio since primary school, no, high school. And when I went to TUT, my first time going to varsity, before I actually went to varsity, I met up with a group of guys and they were musicians and they used to live at Schubert Park here in Pretoria. And I used to hang out with them because I used to hang out with a lot of I used to hang out with a lot of, creatives because I am a creative and like we used to frequent the State Theatre after school for ciphers and also I was very much in the art scene here in Pretoria. So I bumped into a group of guys. They were called Overdose Productions. And I remember what's about the one guy's name? I forgot his name, but they were really, really nice guys. And I used to be their leading lady. Like I used to be their lead singer, which is actually crazy now that I think about it because,
You
oh my
sang.
God. I sang then. It was so crazy. Like I legit sang with them and I used to be their lead lady. And when I think about singing now, I just want to I just want to run away because I don't know. Anyways, that's another story for
That
another day.
happens.
But in that group
Mm-hmm.
of guys, there was a radio presenter. His name was Jack Frost, and he was so good. He was on Tony FM. At the time, it was TUT Top Stereo. He was doing drive time on TUT Top Stereo. His name was Jack Frost, and he was friends with those guys, like he knew those guys. So we meet up together. Like when I meet him, he told me about radio. He told me about, his show, and he told me that there's auditions for Tony FM. When I joined the varsity, I must come and audition for the radio station. So that's where I got the idea from. And when I did join TUT, I looked out for the auditions, Bele, like he said, and I went and I auditioned and I made it through. Like I wrote a script. It had a little bit of Afrikaans. It had a little bit of Ghana. Like I wrote a proper script and I auditioned and I made it through. So that's how I got on radio. And then I started shadowing him, and I'd sit in on the drive time show with him. And I'd also like just do some of the stuff on the radio station, like maybe like read the traffic or read the news. That's really how I got into radio, like crazy or not. And unfortunately, Jack Frost passed away, I think about after a year or so of me joining the station, and it was so sad. So the drive time show slot was open, and then there was a debate about who must do it, and obviously they can't let somebody who just came in do the drive time show just because she was hanging out with the host or whatever. But I stuck around on the show doing traffic, news, or whatever, and eventually I was the host along with Kumi Hamisi and DJ Manuela, who's now on Metro FM. So that's really how my radio journey started. Yeah.
Beautiful. You just literally answered my next question. I was going to ask you, how did you get onto the drive time show? But you just answered that.
Yeah,
So,
that's really how, like, I just, stuck around Jack Frost, shadowed the show. I just stuck around, to be honest, like it only made sense. Jack Frost brought me there, so he was guiding me and mentoring me. And when he passed away, I guess whoever took over the show, I just stayed there. I just stuck around. And yeah, that's how I got onto the drive time show. Eventually, eventually I got comfortable. I was really good at it. And eventually I became the voice of the show. And the thing about doing shows at, campus radio stations is that you have to be really committed because it's free. Like you're working for free. You don't get paid for that. So there were times when people would not pitch up. Yeah, there were times when people would not pitch up for the show, and I would have to host it. And that's how I became the host. Is that some days there was no one, and I was hosting, and I was standing in, and I was rocking the show, and it somehow became my show. So yeah, and then later on they made like an actual afternoon drive team, and then it was me, myself, Kumi, and DJ Manuela towards the end. Yeah.
Okay, dope, man. And then what were you studying at TUT?
I studied electrical engineering in my first year, and then I switched to PR because it didn't make sense. You know that whole thing where like crack and the assumption is that you need to be an engineer. Just because you're brilliant, now you're an engineer. You know what I mean? And I definitely think like my first year was misguided in terms of I did science and math at school, and the pressure was, I definitely like apply for engineering courses. There was no guidance in terms of the fact that I could actually study other stuff apart from science related, or like like question mark real careers, right? Because that's where people are looking. It's like you have to be an engineer, you have to fit into a conventional career, and the only one that makes sense was within the sciences, because that's what I studied. So, and then I realized that like my life and what I'm studying actually don't make sense, because I was in the TUT Drama Society, I was on the radio station, I was in the Street Poets Society, I was at the South African State Theatre, when I'm not on campus. And then I'm studying electrical engineering. It's like my whole life is on one side, and then my course is on the other side. It's like, it makes zero sense. Like even in the class, I had this one friend of mine, her name was Chantal. She was also like into dance and music and stuff like that. It was me and her. We were sore thumbs. We were bright. Our outfits were bright. Like we were the cool kids in the class. Like you could just see who these ones, they don't belong here. So,
and your peers were the opposite of you guys.
Yeah, like you can just tell, yes, this one, I don't even know what she's doing here in electrical engineering. So yeah, I left that and I did PR, which made a bit more sense. It was really good. The only thing I didn't like was that the course was at the TUT in Soshanguve campus, and not the main Soshanguve campus, the second Soshanguve campus. So I had to travel to 3
Oh,
campuses.
there's
Like,
two. I didn't know there's two.
hey, there's two.
I'm
There's
saying I didn't know there's two campuses in Soshanguve.
Yeah, there is. I don't know if they've changed it, but there is. There used to be that main one. And then there's
Mm.
another one that's like a little bit, you drive away, like down there. I forgot what it's called. But that's where our course was with PR and all the other courses. It's like they just threw away all those courses to that because the PR and the psychology, they were all taken there.
Unnecessary one.
And I was just like, what the hell? I can't do this anymore. Like traveling I just felt stuck, to be honest. I felt stuck. I was like, I don't know if, like, I'm not feeling this setup. And I felt like I needed a change of scenery. And then I looked up
Mm.
other universities, and then I applied for UJ. And I remember it was so crazy because my sister was like, yo, you're so brave. I could never just go to another city without knowing anyone. I applied for UJ and I left. I moved. I found a place to stay in Brixton and I went to UJ. And I feel like that's where my life kind of, made a little bit more sense. And things started moving a little bit because I wasn't in connection with, people in Joburg, like a lot of artists that I knew and was talking to through radio. They were all from Joburg. So like moving to Joburg made a lot of sense eventually. So yeah, that's how I ended up at UJ.
Okay, great, man. Let's talk about your show on UJFM. So you moved from TUT to UJ, then you got this beautiful spot, and you started doing 16 bars reloaded.
Oh my gosh. What a time.
Your
What a
bass.
time. I really wish 16 Bars Reloaded was now. I feel like now is a good time to have 16 Bars Reloaded. I was way ahead of my time. Like everything, actually, the thing about growing up, now that you mention it, is reflecting and realizing how dope you were and you didn't know it and you doubted
How
yourself
dope
so
you
much.
still are.
Yeah, I know. I'm super dope. I know that. It's just a part of me is sad for never realizing how good I really was at the time because I really was. I was so good at what I was doing. I was AB is saying now that one of the best radio shows ever, and it really was because
I
you
agree. I
realize
totally
that,
agree.
dude, like so many radio stations were copying what I was doing. A lot of presenters on
Exactly.
popular radio
That's what makes,
stations were
because the
doing.
mainstream radio stations.
Bruh, I won't even mention any names because some of those people are my
No,
friends.
don't.
But
We're not gonna give them free
but
time
they
like that.
listening to my show and they doing what I'm doing on a bigger scale because they have a bigger platform. People will never actually get to know where the source is from. Like I'm talking about stuff like when we started tweeting our playlist. Do you know that 16 Bars Reloaded is the beginning of Now Play? We used to tweet our playlist every single song, and then radio stations started tweeting their playlist Now
Doing
Play.
the same
And
thing.
then we had live performances in studio where we had the artists come and perform on the mic. Like we didn't know what we were doing, but the artists would come into the studio and we just put the track on and they would perform live on radio. Then other stations started doing that, obviously doing it bigger and better. Like, just a lot of things that we were doing. Like we were actually ahead in terms of social media and radio
Fact,
because we were carrying those things. Because
fact.
how we
That
be
marriage,
seen?
yeah.
We created the profile, playing, tagging the artists so they can see that we're playing them on the show. Dude, like we were so ahead of our time. So
Fact,
16 Bars Reloaded.
fact.
It took a while. I auditioned for UJFM as well. What happened? What happened? I did audition. I remember auditioning. I auditioned and I made it. And then we had some training, but I was really good. Like I was good. I knew what I was doing. I was confident. So we started doing our shows, midnight shows, and you know how it starts. You start on graveyard. We did our graveyard shows, and AB was one of the presenters that started on UJFM as well with us. Well, a little
Yeah.
bit before us actually. I think we found him there, but he joined it
Was it
later.
before
But
you?
anyway, hey,
I'm saying, was AB before you?
I think no, I think he came after us actually. He came
After.
after
No,
us,
it
but
was
right,
after.
right around that time when we were doing midnight, he was doing breakfast. So we would
Mm.
cross each other. Yeah, like when we were
That's
doing
nice.
midnight, he was doing breakfast in the morning. So it was so crazy. Like it was me, it was Melo Maoka, who's now on Power FM. It was Melody Mia, who's now on 947. People like Bolele Podisa, who used to be one of our news readers. Like it was Kia was, I think Kia was also on YouTube. Was he? But yeah, Kia Ngube, who's now on Power FM, was on UJFM. Like so many incredible people that I came up with. And so we did the midnight show, and then we progressed, we progressed gradually to like filling in other shows. And then
Mm.
I started doing the daytime show when I was doing the top 40 charts on Saturdays. That was fun. It was nice to do something different doing daytime. Then I think I asked to do my own show. I pitched. I was like, guys, I have an idea for a show.
Oh,
It's going to
really?
be a hip hop show. Yeah, I pitched. I was like, it's going to be a hip hop show. And this is what we'll talk about. Da, 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 da. They said yes. We started doing that show, bruh. It was so crazy. Like, like it was crazy. Like we did crazy things. We pitched, people loved it. And the show just went on. The show just went on. And the thing is, I was so passionate about hip hop. I was determined to make it work. Like it was just such a beautiful show. We play, and I was very determined to play music that you wouldn't hear on radio. Like the tracks in the
On your
album. Yeah, like the tracks on the album that you wouldn't hear on the radio. That I don't be like, oh my god, like that's the thing about my show. It was like always those gems that people don't get to hear, like exposing people to what's not out there and what's not conventional. So 16 Bars Reloaded was just such a really good time in my life. Like it was an interesting time. I was struggling with a lot of things. I was talented, I was passionate, and I was just killing it. So yeah, that's 16 Bars Reloaded. AB says he was on after me, and I was one of the first people he met, and he made it to a point to meet me while I was on air on a Sunday.
Oh,
Thank you so much, AB.
meet this superstar, because you were always on point whenever you were on radio. I remember I used to study at UJ as well, so I remember our clique would listen to 16 Bars Reloaded, and that's literally the only show that we listened to on the station, and that's how I got to know about music unscripted. Sorry.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is that a lot of times on radio, especially if you're doing like nighttime shows and all that, it always feels like no one is listening. Like every time I've been
Mm.
on radio, it always felt like no one is listening. So every time people are like, I used to listen to your show. Like even I remember when I was interviewing DJ Speedster and DJ Sabby, and I think Miss Cosmo, they were like, I listen to your show sometimes when I'm driving home. And I was like, what? Like it was just crazy. Um, but yeah, like it's really good to know that, and I'm grateful that there are people like you and other people that have stayed in my life since 16 Bars Radio. There are people like Don Tabi, a lot of my clique or like my supporters, are people that have stuck with me since 16 Bars Reloaded. And I think that's just kind of testament of what we were doing over there. So yeah, it's
Facts,
good to
facts,
know.
facts. I love how you always giving people shout outs, and you just name dropping there. And you do it regardless of whatever platform it is, you just name drop there. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people have stuck with you throughout the years, because you're always just giving those people shout outs.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Like I've got nothing to lose.
Ah,
I really have nothing to lose. Like I always want people to know other people. I always want people to know that the people that are doing amazing things. Like it always feels like my duty to say something. Like I cannot be on a platform and talk to someone and never recommend someone or say something or put someone forward. It's just the way I am.
mm.
Yeah, like it's just the way I am.
No, man, great. Let's talk about the big one, the one that made me as an artist. Music unscripted. How did that come about?
It's just also another crazy thing. Like people are saying that their artistry got better because of music unscripted. People say they started their careers
Right.
because of music unscripted.
Right.
People say they started their businesses because of it's just so crazy. Like, it's so hard to believe that I have so much impact on people. Like I can't even like I don't want to say I don't understand. I think I do, but it's mind blowing. Like I don't get it.
It's
It's like
mind-blowing.
what do you even mean? But Music Unscripted started I don't want to say it started out of frustration. It probably was another one of those things of me being myself. Where I was like, you know what? Let's do a music conference and teach these people how to do it. Like literally, music unscripted started because when I was doing 16 bars reloaded, I used to spend a lot of time in the compiler's office, and I was editing music for artists, because it's a hip hop show. So the shit, the fact, the bitch, like all there. And because I'm playing music from the album, there's no radio edits, right? Because I'm taking it from
It
your
is.
album. It's not a song that you expect to play on radio. So I took it upon myself to edit all this music because I really wanted to play it. So I'm sitting there editing the shit, the facts, the bitches, I'm editing the music for the artist just so I can play it.
Literally.
And then also just when people were sending me music submissions, like there was no ISRC code, there was no SAMRO code. They were like, what is that? Like, how do I register? And I'm like, bro, like I don't know. Like, do the right thing. Like, send me the right stuff. Send me an edited song. Like, artists had no clue what they were doing at the time. It was crazy. So I thought, let's do a conference where we will teach them how to do all this stuff. Let's also just like help them learn how to do the right thing. Like, so we started doing conferences where we'll talk about SAMRO, where we'll talk about PR, the basics that artists must do, basically, like to just artist well. Yeah, that's how music started, and we just kept it going. It was really dope. Like people genuinely came. Like the first one, people showed up. The second one, people showed up, and we just kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And it's unfortunate that the pandemic happens. It slowed us down a little bit. Our momentum really went down, and I guess we've been. I won't say we've been struggling to get back since, but it hasn't made sense since the pandemic. And it's only now that I'm like trying to think of ways to get back. I mean, we did think about doing it online and let's do a virtual one. And I was just like, no, like for me, it didn't make sense to do anything virtual. Like music unscripted, if you've ever been to music unscripted, the spirit is in being there. The spirit is in the atmosphere. The spirit is in the networking and asking questions. The spirit is live, so doing it virtually, it made zero sense. Like I was just like, you know what, maybe this is just a chance for us to all breathe and like one second half. But I'm really enjoying the Twitter spaces, like it took me a while to tap into that, but once I did it, I was like, okay, this is a vibe. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying how the spaces are becoming global now. You have artists from America tapping in, you have artists from all over Africa tapping in. And that's really, really dope because that's kind of the dream and the vision of Music Unscripted eventually is how do I connect my African passion to what we're doing here? And Music Unscripted Twitter Spaces is doing that for us very organically. And we have like such a growth. The community is growing, bruh. Now we have friends in Uganda. We have so many friends in Nigeria. We have a friend in Ghana. Like there's just artists from all over tuning in. There's a lady that likes to tune in. She's from Somalia, but she lives in America. So it's yeah, I'm really enjoying that. So now the trick is to see how to bring that back to life, like bringing it into the personal,
the physical
conference. It can't be the same thing, I mean, obviously it can, but I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like when we eventually meet up again. So, yeah.
When you speak about the physical, the actual conference, there was a time where you had Maraza on. I think it was at the JNB.
Yes, JNB Hive.
What's called There's JNB Hive in Bram. Man, I've never felt such energy. You know, if I ever wanted to quit as an artist, I would always tap back into that energy because it was about mental health, right? And I never thought that, you know, as an artist that's recording in a back room, I go through the same mental issues as an artist that's mainstream, you know. And for me, that was just amazing. It was because Malasa was saying the exact same things that I go through as an artist in the streets, you know, like the streets and mainstream, that's how similar they are, you know. So
Hmm.
for me, that was amazing. And I was like, you know what, this is, you'll never get this anywhere else, you know. Not on an interview on TV. No, you only get it there, and that's why I'll forever love those conferences, man. And they should definitely come back.
Yeah,
They should
I'm
definitely
really
come back.
I'm really excited for that, you know, like I really love where the Twitter spaces are going as well because they're also giving us an indication of the kind of conversations that we're gonna be having you know, when Music Unscripted comes back. And I'm very proud to say that Music Unscripted is one of the platforms that started really talking openly about mental health issues amongst artists
Mm.
before it became a hot topic in the past 2 years. And I think it's the fact that we operate from a place of honesty. I mean, me as a person, I operate from a place of honesty and genuineness. I don't play into this whole game of pretense and
Yeah.
facetiousness that the music industry has. Like, I've never really fit into that kind of life or that way of life. Like, it's just not who I am. And so that's what I'm saying. Doing a virtual conference made zero sense because the energy is in being there. And I'm so happy that the
Mm.
Twitter Spaces also has that kind of community and camaraderie. Like, they're literally the same people tuning in every Wednesday, and you can see that.
Yes.
And it's really touching for me because I want to do more for those people. I want to do more for that community. I want to make it worth their while, even if it's just 5 or 10 of us. I want to really take Music Unscripted further. And these past few years has really shown us you know, who's for us and who's not for us, quite plainly. Like,
Mm.
we've had enough time to sit and see what really matters, and like who really matters. And it's not always about the numbers, but maybe just about the people that you've touched, which is why I say that it kind of makes me sad sometimes when I reflect on how like how crazy dope I was. And I just, all I cared about was putting my head down and working. And I guess it did work because at the time, like, I was struggling with depression as well. And I had a lot of identity insecurity. So my strongest offering to the world was my work. And I remember I used to say, and I used to tell myself that the works of my hand is what I've got, and it's undeniable. Like, you could come for me for anything, but when it came to my work and my work ethic, like, you could never tell me anything. That's the one thing I was
Never.
confident about. So I put my head down and I worked, and I guess it worked out in a way, but I think there's more that I could have done, you know, to expand myself, to really be present in the rooms that I was in. I've been in crazy rooms. Like, you'll be surprised that you know, my phone book is crazy. And like, people always tell me, like, why don't you maximize on your face phone book? And I'm just like, oh, so disingenuous to dial people just because you have their number
True.
or whatever. You know what I mean? But anyways,
True.
um those lessons, you know, it feels like I'm tracking back, and it really feels like I'm starting again right now. But um, I'm starting again on my own terms, and I'm defining what makes sense to me. And I guess that's where the African Power Pop Girl comes in, because now if I'm playing in the
Mm.
game, I'm playing it my way. I'm not playing it by the rules. I'm not playing it but by what the game is, you know, prescribing, or what the industry is prescribing. Because when I was in hip hop, heavily in the hip hop culture, there was a lot of prescription, right? There's ways of doing things, like, you know, there's shows and events, and there's cliques, and there's, you know, all sorts of different things that you know, people in the music industry move a certain way. Like, you have to be with a certain crowd, you know, like there was also that time where it was like the North, you know, the North, and it was like the North and the South, and you know, the streets, and like, there was so many different cliques in the music industry, and you had to fit in somewhere, you know. And if you're not careful, that stuff swallows you up. Like, and it's also it's not sustainable, because what happens tomorrow if you know the leader, like that clique that you were trusting, decides to change the tune and they're dancing another song? Now what are you gonna do with yourself? You're gonna dance the song they're dancing.
Are you gonna
Then tomorrow
play
you're
well?
dancing another song. Like, these trends don't end. You know what I mean? So I'm happy in a way that it's just the African Power Puff Girl now. And I'm literally in my own lane. Like, I'm so far away from everyone. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm not in touch with reality. Like, I'm just there. You see this corner here? That's where I am. I'm just there by myself, you know? So I'm just there by myself. So it's actually it's fulfilling, but it's also tough sometimes, to be honest, to be isolated, because a lot of people want to fit in, and it is human nature to want to belong. But I think the music industry, industry is just so dangerous. Like, the topics of belonging and alongside music and entertainment is dangerous, because people do a lot of things to belong, and a lot of the things that people do to belong are out of character most times. They are against their value systems. They are against what they fundamentally stand for. But because they want to be in with the in crowd, they want to be seen, they want to get more followers, they want to, you know, climb the ladder faster. Hey, man, do what you got to do to get to the top. And I think that's been my struggle. And some of the things that have held me back is that I know very well what needs to be done to get 3,000 likes on a post. It's not who I am. It's not who I am. So what do I, right? What does the normal girl do? What is the normal girl that doesn't fit into the mold of what it takes to be an it girl, or at the top of the industry, or like an overnight sensation, or an Instagram, you know, whatever? Like, what does a normal girl have to do to just win by being herself? That has always been my struggle. And so that's why I'm like, I really like the African Power Puff Girl situation, because, hey, man, there's no prescription there. Like, I'm just doing me, whatever makes sense to me. I'm just touching buttons. Like, what does this one do? What does that one do? Oh, I like that. Oh, and I like that. So if it means starting from scratch, that's fine. But all I know is, you know, the name is consistent, and the professionalism, the brand is consistent. It's been consistent. And shout out to people like you that have followed my story since the very beginning. And anybody who looks into my name or my life or my career with a microscope, you'll be like, shit, like, actually, this girl's been out here doing the most. So yeah. Yeah.
Great, man. Wow, you covered a lot there. I really like the fact that no, that's why you're a broadcaster by nature. It just comes naturally to you.
Yeah,
I like the fact that you said you covered the fact that, you know, this African Power Pop Girl, it's just you being you, you know, no influence whatsoever. You just you being you. And I feel like that's so important, being a person in the industry. Um, it's very important not to lose yourself in the source, because you end up, like you said, going this way and that way, and because of that, you lose focus on what exactly brought you there. You know, if you're an artist like myself, you end up making music that you never ever thought you would make. You know, not that making being versatile is wrong, but you know, if you're gonna make something, at least be good at it. You know, and just not just more and just put out music because for the sake of putting out music, you know.
Yeah. Hey, man, you know, for me, I think the unfortunate thing is that the people trend for that. I think that's what
They
unfortunate.
do.
I think that's what's unfortunate is that I don't know why life is like this, or maybe there's a bigger lesson that we're not learning from this, but it seems like, you know, disingenuous actions receive reward. You know,
Hype, yeah.
like people say crime doesn't pay, good guys finish last, like stuff like that. But actually, it does. Like crime pays. Like people are doing some shady shit out there, and they're rich, and they're living nice life. Obviously, eventually it'll catch up to them, but that's after a long time, after
A
they've
long
lived their
time.
best life. And
The
if you
best
ask me, I'm
life.
gonna live rich, have money, and then I'll die. It's over. So what? You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
fine.
why is it that like goodness and good people and good efforts and pure talent does not get rewarded for just being that? I think for me, that's also another thing that I struggle with, is that, is it not good enough to just be good? Is it not good enough to just be talented? Is it not good enough to take your craft seriously? Is it not good enough to care about what you're doing? Is that not good enough? Like, what more must people do? Like, now we must strip naked. Now we must kiss ass. Now we must be begging to be booked. Hey, now we must be convincing, music compilers and radio station managers that we're good enough for what? Like, do you want talented people on your radio station, or do you want mediocre shit? And you know what's crazy? These people want mediocre shit. I think that's the hilarious thing. It's like, guys, we're gonna talk about we're going to talk about pure talent and being good and being dope, but can we discuss the fact that mediocre is being celebrated everywhere? Mediocre is put on TV channels, mediocre is given bookings, is put on event lineups. Mediocre is being put on radio to host primetime shows. Like, it's just like, what is going on? What is the real thing? Like, listen, Versatile is even saying, hey, ngoba ziyakhala. And Katipen is saying, Katipen is saying, now we must pay payola to be heard. Do you know what I mean? Like, those are the things that are happening. Like, just for a good song to stand a chance, I need to have 20,000. Why? Why must I be competing on that level, dog? Like, the song is good, let it play. Somebody said that's what's happening in Namibia here, guys. Like, and I think that's the sad thing for me. And maybe this is why, guys.
Namibia.
Hey man, we're international. What I say, bro? I'm international. Every time I'm in a room, all my international peeps come through.
They pull up.
Yeah, and then people wonder why artists are depressed. People really wonder why artists, are going to extreme lengths to just switch off the noise. And I'm not going to reference anyone in particular, but I think we can all agree that a lot of artists are frustrated. A lot of creators are becoming frustrated because they are working against a system that's working against them. It gets tiring. You get tired. Like, your entire life must be a fight. Like, there's nothing fun about waking up to fight the system. There's nothing fulfilling about waking up and creating from your heart and, basically honoring your God-given gift. But then it's like the world is just telling you no. You know what I mean? Like, God said yes. God said, this is your gift, my child. Run with it. But the world is doing everything to convince you that you and your God are crazy. Like, is it any wonder? That depression is high right now in entertainment and creativity? Is it any wonder that suicide rates are high right now in entertainment and creativity? Of course, it's exacerbated by the pandemic, where a lot of people went into like depressive states, losing jobs, no gigs. Like, obviously that really contributed to it. But I think the pandemic was just a tip. Like, it made the cup, it made the cup tip over. It was something that was already building up all these years along. So yeah, it's exhausting. So maybe I should just start getting naked as well, so I can get 100,000 followers and be on radio, because what the hell?
You know what? I believe that some of us are not built for that hype. We've got the impact. Like you say, we only have 2 or 3 followers, but the impact to that 1 or 2 follower, it's real. It's really real. And you always get to feel it when you meet somebody that actually messes with your stuff. They'll come through and say, yo, that song that you did, that you released in 2009, it really, really hit me. Like I say, like, yo, music unscripted really changed my life. Like, for real. I've got a job right now that the person that offered me the job I met at Music Unscripted. So that's the kind of impact that, there might only be 2 or 3 of us, but the impact is really real. Rather than having 100,000 people, but you can't see where the impact is. But there's 100,000 people that are literally following you, but you don't have any impact in their lives. So I feel like
Mm.
it's not always about the numbers. Yes, numbers don't lie, but it's not always about the numbers. Rather more about the impact.
Hey man, I'm gonna be real with you. Me, I'm tired of hearing that shit. Like, I need things to change. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real, guys. Like, Saku, growing up, like, okay, fine. It's not always about the numbers. Okay, fine. What is it about? You know what I mean? Like, and if it's not about the numbers, whatever it's about, can that be the thing? Do you get what I mean? Like, I'm so tired of having these
Yeah.
conversations between us, like you and I. We have our intentions are in the right place. Our heart is in the right place. But when does it change, like, right? When is enough enough? When does the wheel start to turn? And I know that people say that having these conversations amongst ourselves, or like doing the work in your own little corner, is impactful. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I really think it's time that shit starts to change, guys. It's 2022. We cannot be having these conversations for decades on end and nothing is changing. And it brings me back to the conversation where people are having on Twitter, where people are saying that, yeah, you guys are bullies, but then somebody will commit suicide tomorrow, and then you're all going to become, psychologists, and you're going to become, you're going to be telling people, be kind, guys, be kind. But every day you're a bully. It's that kind of thing where it's like, we need the thing that it's really about to come forward, right? If it's about talent, that needs to come forward. If it's about professionalism, that needs to come forward. If it's about honesty, that needs to come forward. Like, the conversations are not good enough anymore. Like, the conversations are not good enough anymore. I'm not trying to have anybody tell me about it's not about the numbers. It is about the numbers. I went to an interview at the height of my career in radio, where I had just won a radio award for best hip hop radio show, right? That was when we won best hip hop radio show for 16 bars, and I was nominated for the MTN Radio Awards for best nighttime campus show. Do you know what a station manager said to me? He said to me, "Why do you only have 3,000 followers on Twitter?" I'll never forget that conversation with that guy. In my head, I was like, "Excuse me, of everything that you could ask me, I just won the best radio show in hip hop in the country right now. I'm the best hip hop host in the country right now. You're looking for a hip hop show host, and you're gonna sit there and ask me about followers. It is about the numbers. Like, it's like, are you looking for talent, or are you looking for numbers? And there's your answer. So I'm sorry, guys. Like, it is about the numbers. Period. Like, we can say whatever we want, but as long as nothing is changing where it needs to change, it is what it is. And we all somehow have to play into that game. And that's where the tension comes, right? That's the tension I was talking about, is that, like you said, some of us are not built for that kind of thing. And it's sad. So you either fall into it or you fall out of it. One of the two. You either play for the game or you leave the game. It is what it is. It is what it is. Like, I'm sorry. And I love what Lindy's saying. She's saying it's a bitter pill to swallow, how numbers now overlook talent when it comes to decision making for a lot of things in the game. And that's exactly what it is, guys. Like, it's about the numbers. We can say that it's not always about the numbers. It's not always about the numbers. It's a nice kumbaya statement to make ourselves feel good. Unfortunately, it is about the numbers. It always has been, and it always will be. So now, what are we going to do about that, right? What are we going to do about that? So maybe it starts coming to a point where it's like, let's find solutions for ourselves. That's when you start building your own tables, start having your own podcast. Like, for example, what McG has done, it's crazy. Like, people are saying that when he started, hey, no one was watching, and now he has one of the most beckoning podcasts in the country. So maybe that's what it's about. Build your own table. Build your own table, because it's about the numbers, right? Build your own table. But you know what else is unfortunate? Is that you build your own table, but people won't support you. That's the other thing. That's the other thing about us as Africans. Yeah, that's the other thing about us as Africans. Like, once I start building my own table,
they're like, why is that one heading down?
Yeah, it's like, no, She's not gonna do that. Not on our watch. And then it's the witchcraft. Then it's the sabotage. Then it's the my dear, I did tire. Oh, I tire. I really tire. Ooh, Thank
You
you.
know what? A lot of us.
Versatile says the kumbaya approach always leaves the good ones at a loss. Thank you. The good people do finish last, guys, and crime really does pay. I am so sorry, but that's just the fact of life. I'm sorry. We want to be kumbaya. We want to have hope. It's nice to be hopeful, but if we're being honest, like kuraf, and that's on period. So what are we going to do about it? I think that's where we need to be looking now, because this holding hands and lighting candles thing is not working. What are we going to do about the system? Yeah, how are we going to approach the solution of the system? You know, how do we overtake it? How do we make the best out of the situation? Because let's stop lying to each other. It is definitely about the numbers, and that's on period. Like,
you know, I think as more and more of us start having this conversation, that's where our solution will come from. Because a lot of people are also afraid to speak out, you know, to say that, yo, this is not right. What the industry is doing, why are we having people that are looking for numbers more than talent? You know, I've done this, I've done that, here's the proof. But you're telling me about Twitter followers. How's that? How are you comparing my accolades to Twitter followers? You know, so I think the more we start talking about it, the more people will just come through. But yeah, that's. I think that's a topic for another day. I'm looking at the time, so I just want to quickly talk about how you came to be on Hip Hop Power Nights with Sea Life. Also, one of my favorite radio shows ever.
hey man, yo guys, I won't lie. I did some dope shit when I was young. Yo, guys, no, please,
But
guys,
I've
please.
been saying, though. I've been saying.
Guys, I was 19 years old when I was on the Hip Hop Power Nights, guys. Yo,
When you're on one of the biggest radio stations in the country.
You know what it is? I actually had, before I answer your question, I actually had a thought today. I was like, what if I just disappeared from the face of the earth? As in, what if I just went off social media and just left this whole shit and lived a normal life? And you know, this conversation is really giving me everything I need, because I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I did the most. I really have lived. I actually can bow out and leave this shit show because I really did the most. So anyways, I told Sea Life, I told him I want to be on your show. So I started listening. Here's my strategy. Let me give you the strategy of how I got onto Hip Hop Power Night. Guys, my audacity, my ambition. One thing about me, I'm ambitious. Two things about me. I'm ambitious and I'm brave. I am so brave. So here's what I did. I was listening to Power Nights, and it was hosted by Sea Life, obviously. I would listen, and you know, obviously I was on the social media, so I was always tweeting. So he'd always tweet, he'd always read my tweets, and I was really commenting some good shit about the show, like obviously because I was in hip hop, and you know I was about that shit. Now the hip hop good in me is coming out. Now you can see now I'm a rapper now. I'm swearing like crazy. But anyways. So I'm tweeting the show. Every time he's asking questions, okay, ask us a question for the guest. I send questions, comments, which song do you like? I'd comment which song is dope and why I like it. So he'd read my tweets like he knows. But you know, on a radio show, right? There's always regulars that, you know, you look forward to, and you always read their tweets. That's how it works on radio. Like there's always people that are tuning in, and they become furniture. They become the number one listener. They always tweet, they become part of the family and part of the listening experience. So I became part of the Hip Hop Power Nights listening experience through my tweets. So I'm like, okay, okay, fine. He's reading my tweets. And then I think the one time I had the crazy idea, what if, I want to host this show. Like I want to co-host the show with Sea Life. That was my idea. I was like, I want to co-host the show with this guy because already he agrees with me. He likes my tweets. Like, it makes sense. So I want to co-host the show with him. I started taking notes of the show. You know what? I need to find the paper. You know what I did? I took a piece of paper and I took a ruler and a pen and I made lines and blocks, columns and rows. And I started studying the show every single minute, what was played. So at 10:05 was it, I swear to God, at 10:05 was a jingle. At 10:08, he did an intro. At 10:15, he played a song by Jada Kiss. At 10:15, he interviewed KO. At 20:10, there was a jingle by KFC. I literally studied the show. I think I did this for about a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, I studied the show, just writing it down to study the show. Like, okay, how does it work? How does he do it? Okay, I see what he's doing. Then I found the gaps. I'm like, okay, there's space here for like a news segment. There's space here for like a, a little mix. I started finding gaps in the show that I could fill. I contacted C Live. I was like, C Live, can I talk to you? I would like to, share something. I'd like to propose something for you. I would like to join the show. I'd like to see how I can contribute to the show. That's when I was going to move to Joburg. When I was going to UJ. I had just moved to UJ, and I was at the time I was also waiting for UJFM to tell me if I made. No, I'm lying. I did an audition for UJFM. I sent a demo. I didn't audition. I sent a demo. Yeah.
I sent a demo.
Yes, I sent a demo. I remember now because I was waiting for them to respond to tell me if I made it or not. I just remembered now. So I sent a demo to UJFM. I recorded a demo and I sent it to them and on a CD, and I was waiting for them. I remember it was around April, so they were busy with auditions. So I was waiting for them to tell me if I made it or not. But in the meantime, I was like, if they don't get back to me, let me cover there by 5FM and, try my luck.
Yeah.
So C-Live, I was like, yeah, sure, let's meet up on a Monday. Can I tell you that the day I met C-Live, I didn't know how I was going to get home. I didn't know how I was going to get home because it was late. I think I took a taxi or a bus to the SABC studios, and I was staying in Brixton. So I had no idea how I was going to get home, but I waited because we said we we're going to meet at 8 o'clock. He was late. At 9 o'clock, I'm sitting there by the SABC waiting. I'm like, must I go home? I'm like, no. He's not going to stand me up. He's going to do the show. So there's no way that he's not going to come. He's doing the show tonight. So let me just wait because he'll be here for the show. I sat there by the fire at SABC waiting for him. Eventually around before 10, he showed up. I'm like, he's like, yo, Priestess, what's up? Okay, come through. Come into the show. On that same night, he put the mic on and we were doing the show. He was like, guess who's in studio? SpokenPriestess is here.
And you were on.
Exactly like that. So I said, I have a paper. I have a whole envelope of paper saying this is what I've done with the show. I ended up, typing it and printing it out to show him that, no, I've been following the show and I've identified that. He was like, forget all that. He put the mic on. He was like, yo, guess who's in the studio? SpokenPriestess. And that's exactly how it started for me on Hip Hop All Night. Every Monday, I would pitch up. So he drove me home. Obviously, that's how I got home.
Yeah.
But
because he knows that is an awkward part, so he had to.
And he was like, yeah, so next week Monday I'll come fetch you again. Yeah, sharp. Ever since then, every Monday he was coming to pick me up. We were there. I would find stories. I would find new songs. I'm like, oh, did you hear this song? Like, there's this new song by this guy. That's where my passion for upcoming artists came from. I was always on the ground about stuff that obviously I'm so business. I was always on the ground about, stuff that people haven't heard, or like, here's this artist. And one thing I realized is that a lot of these, personalities or radio presenters, they don't have the time for that. And that's what we also try and educate people on Music Unscripted is teaching people the stuff that I've learned in the industry is that, guys, yes, it's fine to talk to presenters, but they're the wrong people to approach because most 10 out of 10 times, like, everyone is giving them the demo, yo, my song. There's a lot of stuff to get through for the presenter, right? You have to find a different way to get in. And that's where I feel like music compilers are really missing the mark in terms of they should be attending shows. They should be the ones that are going to these listening sessions. But now, obviously, the presenters will do it because it's part of their job and it's good for their show. But the music compilers are the ones that need to be on the ground like that, But anyways, that's where I was filling the gap. So I had the tea on the news. I knew artists. Yeah, I got Hip Hop Power Night. It was fun. And then we got the American guys to come out. What it be world? Guys, 2012. No, it was 2011. 2011 was a vibe, guys. It's been over 10 years. I can't believe it. Like, it was so. That's how
It
I got
has
onto hip hop.
been. It has
I jumped. Like, I took a bet. I jumped.
been.
I was intentional about it. Nothing in my head told me that it's not gonna work. Or even if there was something that told me
Yeah.
that there was no room. And you know what? That's a lesson that I'm learning is that sometimes when you want to do something, don't think about it. Because when you think about it, you're going to talk yourself out of it. Like, I've been struggling right now with YouTube because I've been wanting to be on YouTube for a long time, but I am overthinking it. Hey? And as a result, I'm struggling from analysis paralysis where I just haven't, I'm not doing it because I'm so paralyzed by the thinking and overthinking and is the video quality, or how am I gonna, analysis paralysis. So that move to hip hop power nights, there was nothing in my head told me you're crazy. I just
Told you that
did
you're
it. I
not
was
gonna.
like, yeah. I just took a ruler and a pen. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. If he said no, at least I know I tried. But and
You
yeah, like
tried.
I do like. But that's the thing. Like, if you actually do something, if you really mean it, like if you're serious about it, the universe will open the door. Like, you need to open, like, the universe will open the door. See, like, put on the mic. Do you know that, like, it's kind of illegal to do that on radio? Like, you can't just
Yes.
put someone
He
on.
literally really his job for you.
Yeah, he just put on the mic. He was like, SpokenPriestess is here. What's going on? And we started talking. And then I started doing the social media. I set up the Hip Hop Power Nights Twitter
Account.
handle. It was me. I set it up. Obviously, I was already doing that on 16 Miles. You know how we do, again, pioneer, starting shit. It was me, now playing, now talking to, tell us what you got, live in studio. You know what I mean? Man, I was made for this thing, bro. I was made for
And
this
the
thing.
ball was rolling.
I was made for this shit.
Man, I love how you got onto. I love that story how you got onto Power Nights and a legendary show once again. So let's fast forward quickly. How did you become a judge on the summer? The
On the summer,
summer, girl.
I'm spoken
Yeah.
priestess. Like, what do you mean? They contacted me. I'm somebody who had my ear on the ground. Again, the repertoire, my love. The repertoire speaks for itself. The same way I won an award,
I don't know always do.
is the same way I became a summer judge. Like, I was the most informed person about hip hop at the time, and I was asked to judge the hip hop category mostly. But then what happened is you judge a category, and well, I don't know, it might be different now, so don't take my word for it. But you judge a category, like they have different judges for different categories, né? So you will judge hip hop, R&B, Afro pop, whatever. And then sorry, the wig is in my head.
Lisha says she loves that answer.
Then what they do is they swap the music. So you will judge your category, you will listen to all the albums that have been submitted for hip hop. You listen to all those albums, and then you judge those albums, and then they also open up like a bigger circle of judging where you judge. There you go. Then you judge Afro pop, you judge the other albums. Just obviously because you always need a different perspective. Like, if somebody listens to something and they're removed from it, they're like, this is a good song. They're not attached to the genre or the artist. So I actually enjoyed that as well, because I could just listen to music and be like, oh, this is lovely, oh, this is dope, oh, this is Afro pop, oh. Yeah. But anyways, how I became a summer judge, I think they contacted me. They sent me an email. I think they sent me an email. Yeah, they sent me an email. They were like, I think it was 2016. It wasn't. It was 2016. The one where they went to Durban? Summer 22. Summer 22. Yeah, it was the 22nd annual summers. And they sent me an email. They're like, baby girl, do you want to be a judge, a hip hop judge? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. How does it work? They're like, the album. And so I was like, bet. You know what was annoying though? Is that they send me albums that I already had. So now I have double tear gas, double cable. And for me, that was testament of who I am. It's like, yo, I really belong here. Like, these CDs are they're in my library. They're in my catalog. Like, this is you just giving me like stock.
Me.
It's like giving me stock of something that's in my fridge. Like I have these albums, I've heard them, you know. So yeah, that was fun. That's how I became a summer judge. They hit me up. I became a summer judge by doing me well, by being passionate and just really being genuine about what I like. That's how I became a summer judge. I was a summer judge for I think 2 years because the next year they did ask me to do it again.
Yes.
And I think the
22 and
next year, I can't
23.
remember. I think 2 years maybe, yeah. And then I don't know what happened. Maybe I don't know what happened, but yeah, I stopped being a judge after.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm sure they
Things
rotate,
happen.
so I wasn't even mad.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Take us through tennism.com. So now you have all this experience. You are flying high. You've been a summer what judge. Take us through tennism.com because for me, I thought that would be an ambitious type of label. That would be the next ambitious or the next
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something?
motherland.
I
You
don't
know,
want to get in trouble here, but I've been told that Ambitious Records was somewhat, I don't want to say it started or was inspired, but how it came to be was that the people responsible for the label attended a music unscripted. Versatile, you know the story, right?
what?
Let me tell you like funny story. So I've never said this and I've never put it out loud, but now that you're saying it, we're having this conversation. You know, use it, don't use it. But
Drop the
word
juice.
is,
Drop the juice. Drop the juice.
word is back then. It is possible that. But anyways,
Wow, man.
cynicism.com. Mm, dude, first of all, you researched my whole life. Either you researched my whole life or you've been following me all this time, and it's really dope. Like it's actually sick. It's sick
I did
how
both.
you know all of this. It's insane, guys. When did I do all this? I'm only 31. It feels like I'm
You're only
old.
31
When did I
and
do
you're
all these
only
things?
35.
No, seriously, when did I do all these things? I was a teenager. When did I do all these things? It's so crazy. Um, so
You've been out here
tennism.com.
working.
I've been working.
You have. And she's frozen. Let me call you a few shout outs there while she comes back. Yo, shout out Versatile, uh, Lisha Reyes, AB Broadcaster, Sigim Kize, uh, yeah, those are the people that have been active throughout the live. So shout out to you guys, man. Mad followers of Spoken Priestess. Shout out Marty, or is it Matty? Uh, okay, let me try and get it back on and see. Let's see. Yeah, it's Teka Teki. It's probably load shedding. Mm, yeah, this has been dope. Has been dope. Shout out AB. We should do this together, you and I, and talk about you. Been dope. Guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Um, Spoken Priestess is having network issues. I think it might be load shedding on her side. Um, so yeah, she's unable to join. So let's wrap it up here. Had a few things that I wanted to talk to her about, but I guess we'll leave that for another time. She did some amazing things at Silicon Life, tennism.com, and currently she's an Afrobeat DJ doing amazing things in Africa. Do check her out. She's Spoken Priestess across all platforms. She's got her spaces. Okay, she's back. Hey, I was wrapping it up. Here we go. She's back.
People are so excited to have me. They're like, she's back. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Oh, you
Hey, man,
guys.
people have you here.
Oh, you guys.
People have
You
you.
guys.
They've been here for you.
No, you guys are the best. Wow, you guys are so sweet. That's so kind. You guys are like, she's back. She's back.
And I was already wrapping it up, by the way. Hey? I was like, she's not coming
Oh,
back. Because I'm thinking if maybe you've got load shedding on your side. So, load shedding
no,
these
no,
days,
no, no.
right?
Don't get load-shedded. Sorry. I don't get load-shedded where I am now here.
She's a girl. That's a girl.
I get load-shedded in when I'm at other places where I'm always in between homes. So but here
Mm.
at my place, not quite. Here in Pretoria, no, I don't get
Thereby,
load-shedded.
Ramaphosa Avenue, there's no load shedding there.
Pretoria for the win. Yeah, sorry, we were just talking about Tinism.com, the record label. So I joined the record
Yeah.
label. They actually they hit me up again. The crazy thing when I think about,
Ah,
I just firstly want to say thank you for this conversation because it's taking me back, like it's really taking me down memory lane on all the things I did before being here. And I know that earlier I spoke about how it feels like I'm starting from scratch right now in my career, but
mm,
it's so fulfilling to know that my starting from scratch is not, it's a
from
choice.
scratch.
It's not it's not by circumstance, or it's by choice. I
Mm,
decided to do certain things. I decided to leave radio. I decided to learn how to DJ. Like it's all by choice. And so this conversation for me is just so fulfilling to, because that thing about where we say we don't look back, like you never look back or you actually never see what you're doing in the moment, and this is really helping me look back. So thank you so much for this conversation. It's really, really dope. um
it's a pleasure. A pleasure.
Tinism.com, I got contacted by the founder, Misotini, Tinism, the main
Mm,
man, and
mm-hmm.
again, interested in the way I was plugged in. I was on radio. I was doing a lot with artists, man. Like yo, I was such a liking teenager. Like I was such a liking teenager to a point where my mom was at a point where she was rapping along to Cooley, to Double HP, Jupe Jupe at some point, obviously
What?
before the incident. But my mom,
Mm,
like she became a hip hop head because of me, because I was so excited about these people. I had their albums. I was interviewing them. I was always going to events with them, and so I guess a lot of people were attracted to that. But I think, ooh, I love that. Lindy says it's not starting from scratch, it's elevating with experience. I love that.
experience.
Thank you, Lindy. I
The
love
the
that.
experience is
You're
already
right.
there.
It's the next level. You're right. Thanks, Lindy. It's the next level. Fuck it. It's the next level. Anyways, so
Shout,
Tini
shout
hit
out,
me
Indy.
up. Um, when he was starting with Ginger Trill, and he was like, listen, there's this
Yeah.
artist. And I think I also did like Ginger Chill. That's the thing. So maybe he noticed that I was a fan, and he was like, yo, you know, we're building something here. You know, maybe you could be PR liars. And at the time I was doing PR for people, you know, I was pushing music, I was writing press releases, I was, yeah, man, guys, yeah. There's nothing I haven't done in this industry. There is nothing I haven't done in this industry. I'm going to say that for a long time. It's just third time lucky. There's nothing I haven't done in this industry. I wrote press releases. I've ran backstage. I worked at Maftown Heights backstage, running the stage. I've actually also done like poster runs, like handing out flyers for Maftown Heights. I worked at Back to the City. Like, there's nothing I haven't done in this industry. I've been on radio as a producer, producing for Bob Mabena and T-Bows on Kai FM. Like, hey, 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 hey. That good, guys. So I'm the original Trail Gang member, Sticky. You're right. So yeah, I was writing press releases, so they asked me to come on as somebody that will do PR for Trilly, and then also just like, you know, plug his music, like send out the songs, dude. Like, I remember this one time, you know, that thing of mine of writing down. One time I had a little book. I wrote down radio stations and numbers and people to contact. I think this one time when we were doing the single, which single was it? ROTY, Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
That run was the best radio runner. I think we did 24 radio stations nationwide. I had people in Grahamstown. I had people in PE. I had UCT radio. I had people in Polokwane. I had radio stations that you didn't even know existed in Bloemfontein, Free State, Northwest. Hey, I had DUT radio in Durban. Guys, don't mess with me. I am that girl, guys. Like, so yeah, like, it was really, really a dope time. There was a time where you don't really know what you're doing, you're figuring it out, you're excited. Like, you know what they say, bright-eyed and what? Bushy-tailed. You know, I was here. Writing press releases, writing reviews, emailing people, supplying. Hey, like, yeah, it was really fun. Like, I was media liaison for tinism.com, and we did some stuff for Ayanda Gia as well. And then we got the likes of Flex Boogie to come in through there. And then there was Kid Tini, and then around Kid Tini is when I you know, I was obviously, like, I had left the label, but I was still a friend of the label. Yeah, and I'll forever remember that era of my life, because the interesting thing about tinism.com is that record label has seen me through my growth. Like, it's seen me through my worst time as a person. And you know, Miso, like, my relationship with Miso has stood the test of time. Like, I don't know if it's patience or if it's really him believing in me, but I will forever respect that guy for just, because there was times where, you know, obviously I was young, right? I told you I was a teenager, I was 19, and depression was at its height. I was erratic at some times. And I remember, because they're based in Centurion, there was a time when I was suicidal, and I had been admitted to the Vista Clinic in Centurion, and that's where the record label is at. So stuff like that, like, where they've seen me through some very interesting times, and there was times where I'd be moody and, like, I'd be irrational about things, and, you know, I would backchat me. So, and that time he's my boss, but I'm like, you know, like, just being a teenager and just being so erratic about things. And he would be like, Spoken, no one has ever spoken to me like that, ever. Not even my younger sibling. No one has ever spoken to me like that. So, you know, like, I'll always hold him at such high regard for just the strong figure that he is. He's very militant, you know. For me, I think he's militant, but in a good way. Like, he's about facts. He's about just doing things the right way. He's about straight line. He reminds me of me a bit, now that I think about it. Like, I'm kind of like that, and maybe that's probably what he saw in me that I didn't see myself then. So, yeah, man, like shout out to Miso Dini, shout out to Tinism, the era. Like, what a great time I had. Like, we were fucking it up. I remember when Ginger Chill got verified on Twitter. We were the first
But
to get an artist verified on Twitter in
first
South Africa.
artist get
Ever.
verified.
People were like, hey, how did they do it? They have a connection, a Nigerian connect in Twitter. But I'm like, a Nigerian connect in Twitter. Please be real. A whole global company. Do you know what I mean? Like, people were in so much, they were in so much denial. You know why? Because Tinism.com, we were people that figured things out. Like, we were scholars. One thing about Tinism.com, we were scholars. Like, if you didn't know how to do something, you learn it, you figure it out. Like, Miso is the kind of person that empowered us to learn things and figure things out. Like, even with myself, when it came to PR, I knew how to do it, but, you know, there was no structure. And it was like, we're going to figure it out. We're going to learn. We're going to create our own campaigns. We're going to learn how to do a rollout strategy. We're going to figure it out. And that's the one thing that I really enjoyed and take away from the Tinism.com era, you know? So, yeah, man. That was fun. That was really, really fun. Being part of an artist's career so closely in the studio, seeing the performances. I mean, I even directed music video for Ayanda Gia. What's that song? Go on girl, like go go go. I ended up directing it. I did the set design. We had clothes, like I arranged the shoes. I was fixing her hair. Yo, guys, there's nothing I have not done in this industry. I'm so proud of myself. Like, I've seen the whole thing. And I think that's what makes me so unique and so well versed. And it's actually also frustrating, right? Because I know how to do so many things. Then I'm sitting here like, what must I actually do? Because I know how to do everything. So now, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
It kind of does sometimes. I'm also a bit like that because I do a lot of things at once, and I can't choose which one do I really want to do forever and only that. I just can't. I have to do them all in order to feel sane. So I can't choose, and I've accepted that I can't choose.
Of who we are, like as humans, we are multifaceted, and maybe I think that's the other thing. Here's the realization, right? We are multifaceted people. I don't just like jazz. I don't just like hip hop or Afrobeats alone. I like them all. I know how to act. I know how to dance. I know how to present. I know how to draw. I know how to sew. I know how to DJ. I know how to cook well. We're multifaceted people. So why has the world convinced us that you have to be one thing? I think that's the problem. Because also even in the entertainment industry, when you see a lot of artists, like you'll see an actor, then he will be singing. They're like, now he's singing. Then the actor will have a hair, you know, something like release a business. Hey, now she's selling hair. Like, but it's like as a human being, you do different things. You like different things. Why is it a surprise when somebody is maximizing on their talents? Why is the world trying to convince us that you should only shine in one thing? You should only sing and leave it at that. Why can't I sing and dance and act and rap and if I know how to do them all? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the other thing. But I guess it's all about finding the balance and really like determining what works for you and what doesn't. But whoa, yeah, man, what a life. Yo, what a life. Unbelievable.
Cool. So you've done all these things now, and then boom, here comes Slicker, a new platform, something that we've never ever seen as an industry. And how do you get onto that?
He called me again. I get called. I always get called. I always get headhunted, sweetie. Like I'm
The repertoire is spoken again.
I'm an asset, guys. Like I'm an asset. Like anybody would be stupid to not, you know what I mean, to not headhunt me or like really want me in their organization. I really am an asset, and I know my worth. Like it's a real thing. Like I bring value, and I think we can all attest to it because we saw what happened when I joined Stick on Life. It changed. it changed to the next level. It
It
became,
did.
you know,
It did.
something different, you know. People's reactions as well were really good. They were like, oh my God, like the site is so much more palatable in terms of the fact that there's no more spelling errors. Obviously, I was the editor, I was editing the stuff. They're calling you.
No, man, the stand is falling.
Oh, I think
Tekateki.
actually, let me let you get started. It's moving. And it's sounding like a spaceship. It's going zzz.
Really?
I don't know what's happening,
Okay.
but
I
it
think
sounds like a spaceship.
I'm
No,
holding the
don't
phone.
hold it. Put it nicely. So you don't have to hold it. Yo, medical magana. Put it
Tekateki
right
here,
in.
and I'm trying to put it well, but it's not doing the things, eh?
You what you did earlier on.
Okay. All
It
right.
worked.
So
There you
my earbuds are low. You see? It works.
you can't
Okay.
you
Let
can't
me.
sing it tighter. Anyways, let me continue while you figure that out. Switch off your video and then figure it out because you're gonna distract me. I'll just go on with the story.
Cool.
But then, yeah, so anyways, Slicker on live called me. I remember when Slicker called me, I was washing the dishes. And I'm election. It's election, baby. Oh, election is another one that is part of my journey. When I was a young and Archie in Pretoria, hustling on the scene, like I was also in his studio, and I remember at some point he even taught me how to use Photoshop. You know, I miss those days. I wish I still knew how to use
What?
Photoshop
Really?
right now. Yeah, bruh. I told you there's nothing I haven't done in this industry. I once designed a poster. I think it was for a sneaker competition or a sneaker show for myself because Lection showed me how to do it. Guys, hey, hi, I've been through a
Oh,
lot.
what you got
Anyways,
stories for days, then?
I've got stories for days, bruh. Let me tell you what happened when Slicker called me. Slicker called me while I was washing the dishes. I remember it was one afternoon. I was staying in Brixton. I think I must have come from school. I think, no, school or work, because I was working at Kaya FM at the time. I was interning at
Mm.
Kaya FM. No, I was working at Kaya FM. I must have come from work. Yes, I did come from work. I remember washing the dishes. I was washing the dishes when Slicker called me. Crazy enough, I think I had his number as well. So it's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, yeah, what's good? I'm like, Slicker, okay, random. I answered the phone. I'm like, okay, what's up? He's like, yeah, so listen. He tells me da 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 da. And then he asked me, how much are you getting paid at Kai FM? And then I told him, he's like, okay, fine. And he asked me like, okay, I was thinking maybe you could basically like he asked me to join like what do I think about joining the website and coming to help him, you know, run it and stuff like that, being part of the team, da 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 da. I was like, what? For sure. Like I didn't even think twice. I was like, Standy, what are you saying? Why? Because that time I'm young, I'm
Oh my
foolish,
goodness.
I love hip hop, and obviously who wouldn't want to do hip hop as a day job? I was
Yeah, I
like,
wouldn't want
sharp.
to.
So you know what I mean? So yeah, that was the thing. There are a few lessons that I learned from that experience that I would have done differently. But like really that era was really fun because it brought me back full circle to everything I'd been doing. So from the radio, the PR, the writing, the press releases, the listening to artists, the finding artists, the yo, everything
Mm.
just came together there at Slicker on Live. You know, like that was my job, and I was the right person to do that job.
For it, yeah.
I got Peter Mola, and he's like, so obviously, because now another thing about me is like, wherever I get there, things have to be fixed, right? So okay, I got there. He was teaching me. He was working with Tando at the time. Tando was the one that was doing the articles, but obviously they needed more hands. There's just a lot of music to go through for one person. Between him and Tando, and I guess a lot of things were happening as well. He had meetings, he had events, he has so many things to do. He needed
Mm.
somebody else to join the writing team. So Tando was showing me how they do it, you know, giving me the formula, how they update, this is how they do it. They search for articles, this is how you type on the website, da 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 da, all those things.
Mm.
Vekenyana, setting it clever, no, skin off, with the
Now you're writing things.
I'm like, already suggest, I'm like, ish, we have to change, this doesn't look, we have to change the way we do, this doesn't look good. I editing, more like I edit, I'm like, hey, spelling error, man, I'm like, hi, spelling error. You know, I'm there. And people are like, SpokenPriestess, they're like, we see you on the sticker on live. People were so happy, right? It was such a vibe. The
I
one
was
thing
one
I
of those
enjoyed about
people.
sticker on live, hey,
I was one of those people that was so happy about that.
dude, so many people were happy to
You
see me at sticker on live. It was
know,
crazy. It's like they gave me up. They were like, that was so fun. You know, like I guess it's one of those moments where you see that people see you because it's like, of course, makes sense. So, yeah, we did that, and I think I was at Click On Live for 3 years. It was really, really fun. Like, it was a really good time in terms of, serving the game. Like, one thing about me is I've always served the game, always. Like, that's one thing you can never question about me. Ever since
true.
I was that 17-year-old on radio, it was always about serving the game, the artist, putting the artist on, and really Slick on Life was my passion project. It may have belonged to Slicker, and he may have been the founder, but I think even he will agree, and everybody that was on the team at the time with me can agree that I ran that shit like it was my own baby. Like, that was my shit, bro. Like, I was passionate about the shit. Like, I loved all those people. I loved the music. Like, it just made sense. It just made
It
sense.
just
It was
makes
just
sense.
such a vibe. Like, I was in the right place. And I think, Slicker had a lot of peace of mind when I was there in terms of, and I'm saying when I was there because I can't speak for anybody else. But once I joined, it was one of those things where, okay, he could go off and do what he had to do because there was somebody there that, if, for
That's really
example, we need
true.
to get hold of my E, we need to get hold of Cooley, we need to get hold of whoever we need to get hold of, don't worry, I'll call them. Don't worry, I'll call them. Don't worry, I'll call them. Don't worry, I'll sort it out. Don't worry, I'll sort it out. Because why? Because I knew
You
the
got the
game. I knew everyone.
connect.
It just made sense.
It just
Exclusive,
makes
don't worry,
sense.
I'll talk to Reason. I'll ask Reason. Reason, can I have a song? I saw the Instagram. What's what? Pretty,
What's
pretty
what?
ugly. Listen, I saw your IG story. Can you plug me with the exclusive? Can we talk to you? You know what I mean? Yo, Zinga, come on now. Kidex, come on now. No.
Come on
So
now.
it made so much sense. I was just calling up these people like, hey, listen, let's do this. I also enjoyed the part where we gave like upcoming artists, a platform in terms of underdog days. That was also fun, like having times where we listen to artists that I don't have on my phone, or artists that are well known, and we give the kids a chance as well to be seen. And there was some project as well where I think it was the Underdog album, where he did an Underdog album with a bunch of talented
Yes,
kids from all over
yes.
the country. Like, stuff
A
like that was
compilation.
fun. Yeah, so Slick on Life was very interesting. It was an interesting place. It was a place where that was the last place where I lived my passion for the game and my passion for hip. That was where I left it. That was where I was like, okay. After leaving Slick on Life, I branched into something else. I branched
Yeah.
into advertising. So Slick on Life is a very interesting era. I don't speak about it a lot, crazy enough.
Oh, you
But I
should.
guess it'll only be, yeah, I actually rarely speak about it. Like, it's just one of those moments that happened. It's like one of those stints in my life that happened. Um, I also think, like, truthfully speaking, um, towards the end, it wasn't great, for me. And so I guess that's why I don't speak about it, because I don't entertain
Oh,
things that
yeah.
are not
Okay.
fruitful and of value. Like, if
Yeah.
something is not of value, not positive, I don't talk about it. So towards the end, Stick on Life wasn't great for me, and so I resigned. And I went into advertising. So that's where the branching out came now. I went into
Yeah.
advertising. And Haibo, why did it take me so long? Because the funny thing about advertising is that I've always wanted to be in advertising, right? But then I was nervous about would it work? Like, because I've been in the game, like I've been in entertainment for so long. So now I'm like,
for so long, yeah.
Like, do I know enough? Like, you know, because it's what you study. So you think it has to be like textbook theory, professional, da 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 da. Guess what?
But corporate is like that. Corporate gives you that vibe, like, yo, you need to remember what you did back in school.
Oh my God, I don't know. I'm killing it. I'm a superstar writer. They're loving my shit. The creative directors love me. I'm the cool kid in the agency. Like, every agency I work in, I'm memorable. Like, there's no agency that I've worked in that I left, you know, that they don't love me, that I still love the teams that I was working with. Like, I'm just that girl. Like, period. So,
that's how girl.
Bruh, I'm just that girl. Like, my energy is too much. Like, I'm too valuable. I'm too much of an asset. Like, I'm just too dope. So, yeah, that was it. That was Slick on Life. Yeah. What else you got?
No, man. Before we wrap it up, let's talk about the big one. Afrobeats. What's the life there? From hip hop to Afrobeats.
The love of my life. Afrobeat is the love of my life, guys. There's no way. Afrobeat is the love of my life. So, funny enough, funny story. My love for Afrobeat started in 2013. I liked Afrobeat, you know, just out of curiosity, and I heard it. But then there was this thing that Njugza, you know, you remember Njugza from Tear Gas? There's this thing that Njugza and I used to do Afrobeat charts. And it was basically an Afrobeat music chart. Do you see that we're always ahead of the game? We had an Afrobeat music chart back in 2013.
And this was back in 2013.
Yes, Afrobeat chart.
Wow.
And he and I used to team up. Look, he hit me up as well, and we're doing the charts. And he was like, "Can you help me do this thing?" And I used to adjudicate, research the songs, see what's popping on the Afrobeat scene. It was top 50, then it became a top 100. Then every week there we are shuffling the charts, shuffling the music, researching which one is hot, da, 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 da. That's when I got to really know Afrobeats in 2013 at the time. Because of the music, I had to research, I had to know what the hell I was doing. So beyond Tiwa Savage, Savido, and Wizkid, who were big at that time, and even now, I had to know more artists, you know, so I'm getting exposed to more people, Harmonize and them, like more people in the game, like Saturday, Runtown. I'm starting to know these people. That's where Afrobeat really started for me in 2013 from that Afrobeat chart. Obviously, life went on. Like, I think we did the charts for 2 years. Then I think 2015 we stopped, and then I think 2015 that's when I was interning at Kaya FM, and then 2016 I was working there for my first year. Then I joined Slick on Life. So I guess life just happened, and then But then it was in the back. It was in the background. You know, again, we're multifaceted, right? I don't just like hip hop. I like Afrobeats as well. I like all other genres. 2017, what was happening? 2016, I was at Kaya FM as a radio producer. Now I'm on Click On Live, so I've left radio. And I think I also left UJFM. I think I left UJFM in 2016. Yeah, I think I left UJFM in 2015, somewhere there. I left UJFM in 2015. So now I'm not on radio anymore because I've left Kaya for Slick On Live, and UJFM, I'm done. So I'm like, now what's the plan? So I think I started working at Trans Africa Radio. I can't remember.
Radio, yes.
I didn't audition, but I think I did ask him to join the station. I did ask to join the station. I think I sent the demo. I sent the demos to Trans Africa Radio. I sent a demo to a few stations, Metro FM. I've been in talk with Metro for a while as well. I spoke to Tony for a few years, talking about a hip hop show, and then also talking about just joining the station for years. And I guess the conversation never really, turned into anything. Then I joined Trans Africa Radio. Then obviously Trans Africa Radio is a strictly African station. Mama. So now it's 2016. We're in the Afrobeat now, So while I was working at Silicon Life, I was also working at Trans Africa Radio, doing the radio, doing the Afrobeat live there. So it's Silicon Life, Afrobeat, Silicon Life, Afrobeat, Silicon Life, Afrobeat. So I was doing on Trans Africa Radio. I would stand in. First, I started standing in December. And that's usually how people join radio stations. First, they stand in, then they start doing their own shows, then, they become a personality. So I was standing in on Trans Africa Radio during December. And then I started doing my own show. I started doing 16 bars on Trans Africa Radio. So 16 bars in Africa. So it was an African hip-hop show. We also got nominated for the South African Hip Hop Awards for that one, by the way, because wherever we go, we are excellent. Then I was doing a Kizomba show. And so I guess from there, I never looked back. That was where Afrobeat started. And then I decided that I want to learn how to DJ. Like, I never thought that I wanted to, like, it's not, DJing was never part of the plan, to be honest. Like, I know that the only time I spoke about it was like, I used to tell myself that if I'm a DJ, I'll only play local hip hop. You know how I am. Like, I'm just so funky and local everything. I'm like, if I'm a DJ, I'll only play local hip hop. I don't know what possessed me to learn how to DJ. I really don't. Like, I was just like, I'm gonna learn how to DJ. I'm gonna do this. Because I did leave radio. Eventually. I think I left radio in 2017. Yeah, 2017. There was just too much happening. I didn't have time to myself. So I had work. I was working at Silicon Life, and then I was working at Trans Africa Radio on the weekend. So 7 days I was working. And it just became a little bit too much. Like, I was just, burnout was imminent, like 5 days of work, a full day of work. And then I remember I was also doing my honors in 2017. Honors, full day of work. Working on weekends. I was doing 2 shows on the weekend, the hip hop show and the Kizomba show. Saturday, Sunday, I'm doing radio. So it just gets to a point where it was like nothing. Like, it was not worth it. Like, too much going on, and I was just like, I have to leave something. So that's when I left radio. I was like, it's too much. I can't. Like, it wasn't working out. So I just left. And so I think I was on Silicon Live 2017, 18, 19. I was doing Silicon Live full time for those 3 years, almost 3 years. And then 2018, I started learning how to DJ. I started learning how to DJ. And I was like, you know what? Initially, the aim was to play hip hop. I'll be honest. The aim was never to play Afrobeats. That was not even a thought. I did do Afrobeats, but the aim was to play hip hop. But my playlist was not coming together. My playlist, when I was practicing, I had to practice a set. So the hip hop songs were not coming together, which means that I couldn't practice. I didn't have music to practice with. Or the set was not coming together. Remember, I'm learning, together, right? I learn how to mix. But now I only have 10 lessons, and the lesson is an hour. If the hour is done, it's done, So I was like, okay, let me try something else. Let me try and mix other songs. Then I started mixing Afrobeats. Davido, Wizkid. Wizkid is going well with Runtown. Runtown is going well with Techno. Techno is going well with Sakode. How the music is just flowing. So obviously I was practicing with my Afrobeat set. I saw no reason to go back and want to try and play hip hop. I just continued playing Afrobeat. That's how I became an Afrobeat DJ. So also the DJing journey was a story. I went to a bogus, a DJ school. That school was just scammy as hell. I'll never forget. And then I went to another one, Pioneer DJ Institute. that's where I got my confidence to
Zinhle's one.
play and hey.
Zinhle's one. Is it Zinhle's one? Oh no.
So I went to Pioneer DJ Institute,
Okay.
and that's where I learned how to play. I'll never forget my lecturer, Ray. His name was Ray. I'll never forget him. Ray. Yeah, his name was Ray. And he taught me how. Well, I mean, I already knew how to play in a way because I had already gone to another school. But I didn't, there's things that I didn't learn. Like, for example, I knew nothing about CDJs, but I did know how to play. I knew how to play and mix because queuing and playing is relatively easy. You know the basics. But then I knew nothing about what the buttons on the CDJ does or do. You know, I didn't know what was going on. So if I pressed a wrong button, I wouldn't know how to undo it.
Then we hear
so that's what I learned at Pioneer DJ School. They taught me what does what, where. Lindy also wants to know this bogus DJing school.
Hey, Lindsay,
I will DM you.
We were told that names are expensive.
Names are expensive, Lala. I don't have 500K. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, the Pioneer DJ Institute was just. I'm happy. I'm so thankful. I went to them. I still had my full 10 lessons, and when I got there, you know, Ray stood with me when I was playing. And I really love that. Like, just the experience of being at Pioneer Institute was really dope because it's exactly what I needed all along. It's just that I didn't know, right? If I'd known better, I would have gone with them initially. Ray stood next to me. He showed me stuff. He taught me stuff. He encouraged me. He was like, "You're good," like, you know. And I remember when I had gigs, I used to actually come and practice during my lessons. I tell him that I'm playing on Saturday. So I'd practice and he'd be like, "Okay, let's practice." And then, you know, and he taught me how to scratch and all that stuff. He taught me how to use effects, but I guess like it was a little bit difficult to grasp some of the stuff. So obviously everything takes practice. So even so this one time I was playing a gig, my first big gig, I was playing, it wasn't my first gig, but it was one of my first gigs. Because my first official gig was a paying gig, and it was a big gig. It was DSTV and Jukes. When they were doing that DSTV and Jukes thing, I was playing there. Crazy. It's amazing.
Oh, really?
But one of my first gigs, it was a rooftop party. I wanted to try the effects. Or did I? Yeah, I think I tried the effects. Hey! It didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Oh!
Horses!
Murife, don't run! I was just like, ha. To this day, I'm traumatized to using effects. I don't use effects. Ever since that day, I was burned. So I see people using effects and I'm like, oh, you know, I wish I knew how to do that. But obviously, I'll give myself time. I'll give myself time and I'll practice, obviously, and I'll get into it. But yeah, I'm fine the way I am. But anyways, yeah, man, being an Afrobeats DJ has been fun since. So yeah, yes, Lindy remembers the Jukes gig. Like, I actually played live back to back with DJ PH. My first gig as a DJ.
Didn't Lindy get you that gig? Because Lindy once worked with Jukes at Turn Up.
It was Melanie that booked me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, Lindy worked with Jukes at Turn Up, because I remember she was at one of the music unscripted, and my music ended up being on Jukes because of her.
Yeah,
and Turn Up Music.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, yeah, but it's been fun, guys. Like, I played in Dubai. Like, that was my biggest gig ever. Like, a global world gig. Like, I can't say a real audience because all my audiences are real. What do you mean? But like an audience that they don't know you. You know, like, hey, it was huge. And I got to play for Mayor Goon, like the mayor of Lagos. To get shared a stage with African icons. I played for Mayor Koon. I shared a stage with Pali Ipupa and Mafiki Zolo.
What?
And it was crazy. It was crazy. So that was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah, you've had a journey. You've had a crazy journey.
So I can retire. You don't dream about that I can retire. Yo, I've lived, eh?
You're only 31.
So
relax.
Yeah, retiring early is where it's at, bro.
There's still more to achieve.
Retiring early is where it's at, bro. I want to retire so I can be a bitch.
What are you gonna do for the next 30 years?
Be a bad bitch, bro. What do bad bitches do for a living? I want to be a bad bitch. It's my chance. It's my chance. I've been struggling for 18 years. It's time for me to shake my ass on a yacht in Dubai.
I see you, Sian. I see you. I see that 50K a week, Sian. I see it.
Hey. Please. People's names are expensive. Please.
Let's talk about people's names that are actually worthy of talking about. You did this thing called a She Mix. Never heard of it before. A She Mix, right? With Young Verbal. How did that come about?
He hit me up again.
The repertoire again.
It's the repertoire game, innit? Yeah, he was like, Queen, I've got a song that, truthfully, Young Bobo has always been trying to convince me to make music, you know? And being a DJ was just like a good idea. Like, he's always wanted me to do stuff with him. And I've always, listened to his music, pushed his music, played it, whatever. But I think being a DJ was where he was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got you now.
He hit me up. He was like, I've got a song that I think, I don't do a remix for it. I think you should, you should do the DJ thing. Like, take it and do a remix. And I was like,
run with it, yeah.
I was like, I don't know about that. And the more he, he spoke about it, I was like, okay, let me try it. I like things, bro. I was like, let me try it. I challenged myself. I'm like, I hit up different goals. I'm like, I can do this. And then my crazy idea. Oh, I'm so crazy.
As always.
I need to dumb down. I think I need to dumb down my thinking because I'm always just thinking like, because I was like, I went for the biggest thing. I was like, let's make a song with everyone from the continent, everyone. I want West Africa, East Africa, South Africa. I didn't know any Northern African artists, but if I did, they were going to be on it as well. So I got artists from Nigeria, Kenya, Namibia, South Africa, and yeah, we did a song together. And it was interesting. It was very, very interesting to do. A lot of the girls just said yes, like they agreed very quickly, which is very nice. Recording it was, it took a while, like some of the verses had to come in. Yeah, and we also shuffled a few artists. Like there was originally supposed to be a Zambian artist. There was originally supposed to be another vocalist on it. But then, the names shuffled. And yeah, man. So eventually we ended up at Crystal Asiga from Kenya, Flo from Nigeria, Lioness from Namibia, as well as Tamasha and Muesli from South Africa. So that's where the cast ended up. And yeah, and then we did it. We really, really did it. Like, it's crazy. I can't believe we pulled it off. We got the verses in. We distributed it through Africori via Young Verbal's relationship with them. We distributed the song via Africori. And we got the splits done. You know me, bro. I can't be doing music unscripted and not have my papers right. So we did the split sheets. We did
that would literally be blasphemy.
You know what I mean? We did all those things, got it right, registered with Samra and all that stuff. I actually need to check up on my paperwork for the song and see what's been happening in terms of radio play and all that. But anyways, yeah. So we released the song.
Can do that for you.
Hey.
Clarity Music Solutions can do that for you.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's check up on the. Let's check
And
up
put it
on
on the company that I work for.
All right, let's check up on the rights, on the royalties, on the mechanical rights, because you know, the Rotation She Makes may not have been like a big radio song, but it played on a lot of radio stations. And
Yeah.
That's one thing I always tell artists is, guys, stop focusing on the big five.
The big one.
Yeah, like it's fine if you don't get on the big radio stations. South Africa has 200 radio stations. Do you know that? 200 radio stations, and artists are stressing about five radio stations. You're not serious. What about the other 195? And mind you that those 195 radio stations are not getting submissions. Well, I mean, not all of them, but like a lot of these stations, nobody's, you know, a lot of people don't submit. A lot of the compilers have to go
out. A higher chance of being played there.
Yeah, like create a radio tour in Northwest, in Polokwane, in Durban, in, do you know what I mean? There's 200 radio stations in the country. So that's what I did. I got my song played on Zambian radio. We had a Zambian radio tour. My song played on Namibian radio. We had Namibia radio tour. My song played in Kenya. My song played in Nigeria. It played in the UK, and it played in South Africa. Without being on the big five. Like, it wasn't on the big five. The biggest station that my song, oh wait, my song did play on Metro, but it was because the presenter, it was because what's her name again? Lindy, I'm trying to remember her surname, her new surname, because she's married. But it was because Lindy, who is currently on, I think she's currently on the Mo Flavor show now. But before that, she was on, I think, Lunchtime or something like that. She bumped into the song on somebody's Instagram stories or reels, and she loved it. And so she recommended it to the team, and they featured it. That's how it played on Metro. Yeah, I don't think we had a Metro debut, but the biggest station that my song was playlisted on was Power FM. They playlisted on Power FM. I don't know if it was playlisted on YFM. I can't remember. But yeah, like, but we didn't have big stations. Like, it debuted on Metro. We had an IG Live. It played on other. But for that whole week, for 2 weeks, my song was playing on radio.
Playing on radio.
Yeah, I had a radio tour. Every single day was a new station. Funny FM, Tax FM, UCT Radio. You know, that's how you do it. And that's how you make the publicity. It's all about perception. Leave the big stations, guys. Like, it's going to take forever for you to get in there if they're not checking for you. Or if you don't have a bag, depending on how they operate. Like, some of the big stations, they take money to play your song. It's not a secret. Some of the big stations take money to play your song. So if you don't have money, or if you're not getting to the compiler's radar, don't stress yourself. South Africa has 200 radio stations. Send your music to those stations and be in peace, and be on rotation in peace. And they will play your music.
Hey, you're dropping bars, eh?
Metro played that song like crazy.
She loves it also.
So, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. And then how did the Foschini collabo come through? Like, for me, that was just like, yo, that's not even artists that are fully in the game are able to pull such deals.
Dango. Thank you. And for me, that was my way of testing how far I can take things, you know. And again, like, we really need to believe in ourselves. Yeah, like, I tested my dope. I believed in myself, and I did the same thing I did with Hip Hop Power Nights. I believed in myself. I bettered myself. I did a proposal. Like, I studied Foschini. I shop in Foschini for one, so I love the brand, and it made sense. I was like, it would be great if we had a T-shirt in Foschini. How crazy would that be? I started doing a proposal like that. We can do it like this. And I told them, I'm like, no, it's about women. It's women empowerment. It's women from all over Africa. This song is a celebration of women empowerment, women working together. Foshini was like, I bet that's what we're about. See? So I sent them a proposal and they liked it. And after months of negotiation, probably spent about 6 months negotiating and talking. Yeah, then they were like, yeah. Then, you know, the universe, again, I stepped out, I bet on myself, and the universe opened the door.
And sometimes it's that easy. Man, this has been great. Thank you so much.
I was just going to say the hard part is getting over yourself. Like, you need to get over yourself so many times. Like, get over yourself and just do it. Just do the thing.
You need to. Just do it. Nike. One way.
Yeah, true.
Precious, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This was a wonderful conversation. This is the first of many. I wanted to start a podcast, but yeah, hey, life is happening. So this is the best that I could do for now. But yeah, the podcast is operational. It's just that we can't shoot as often as I want to because of equipment issues. But yeah, man, so this is the next level that I'm trying to take it to. And you are the first guest. This segment is called From the Aux Mouth. The podcast is called Plug the Aux. It's a whole network. I just, like, I'm a big chiller. So I just like McG, I said, you know what? I'm going to use what I have and just do this thing, man. You know, I've got a ring light. I've got a cell phone. I've got internet. So let's rock. And yeah, you are my first guest. Sorry?
That's inspiring. I'm proud of you for that. It's inspiring because I'm currently stressing myself about YouTube and I just need to pick up my phone and film, you know. So this is inspiring. Congratulations on that. And guests will honor your invite. They will come and they will have these, like, this is such a beautiful conversation. It's so refreshing. You took me through my life and I really needed that, you know. I really needed that reminder that, hey, you're that girl, you know. And so as much as you're doing this for your podcast and you're studying somewhere, for me, this conversation has touched me and it has really enlightened me about the shit that I've done in my life that sometimes I forget. I forget how dynamic I am, how dynamic I was when I was just 17 and clueless. And it's crazy. I did a lot of the stuff that I did through my life, going through the most. Like, you know, Kaya FM, I just lost my mom and I had to fight for that job and, you know, ask them for that contract to say, guys, you know, can I work with you guys? Am I working with you guys? And in that same year, that's when Slicker called me. So, like, a lot of things have been happening in my life, but like through them all, the consistency has been work, and I've been blind to it. I've been just working, and this conversation has brought me back to remember who the fuck I am. So thank you so much. Like, it was a really dope chat. Thank you.
It's an immense pleasure, man. Thank you for honoring the invite. So where to from here? You're not retiring, I hope.
I'm really tempted, but I will give it one more try next year. Dude, like, you know what? There comes a time in your life where you're just tired of the bullshit. Like, personally, I'm tired of the bullshit. Like, I've never been about bullshit all my life. And so there comes a time when you're just tired of the bullshit, you know? And I think this is why I enjoy being the African Powerpuff Girl, because it's not attached to anything. I'm just doing my own thing. So I really enjoy that. And I would love to explore that and see where that leads me. You know, the Pan-African conversation, the Pan-African conversations and connections that I'm making with people. They're so, dude, I know people in the strangest of places, like Ethiopia, Rwanda, like I know Angola, DRC, like I have so many, you know, if I had money, I would go everywhere. And you guys would go crazy. Like, you guys think I'm doing the most right now? I'm not even. I'm doing the most on a budget that I have right now. If I had money, I would be in Tanzania, Angola, DRC, Ghana, Nigeria, everywhere where I know these people, but I know that time will come. So where to from here is maybe expanding the African power pop girl narrative. Vanessa Tomu, hello my queen. This is another queen that is one of my community members. I think you East African here, Vanessa. You from Kenya? Yeah, Vanessa is Kenyan. So you know, so it's exploring the African power pop girl narrative, and you know, I've now just come out of a spiritual journey where I've reconnected with my identity as an African spirit, as an African spiritual being. So there's also that. It's also figuring out where that comes into everything that I'm interested in, you know, like where should I really be? Where should I really be putting my effort? Where should I really be focusing my energy? So I guess I need time to figure that out. Like I thought that I would come out of Epeshweni and you know, start getting bookings in September or like start gigging again in October, but it doesn't quite work like that.
Doesn't
and I'm
work
realizing
like that.
that's not the case. Yeah, that's not, you don't just pick up where you left off. You have to pick up slowly. And I guess maybe that's why I mentioned earlier that I'm starting from scratch. It's probably with that reference, not starting from scratch in my career, but it's just starting from scratch in terms of life. And, you know, coming into life, yes, coming into life with a new being and getting my new perspective, as in, where do I fit in? What makes sense to me? What is of value to myself? Not just as the African pop-up girl, but to my ancestors and my purpose as a spirit human. So I won't retire yet. I will just maybe take the rest of the year off. I actually just had the wild thoughts of going off social media, just black out. Not Twitter, of course. I love Twitter for my spaces. I always do my spaces. I love my spaces.
You need those spaces.
If actually I could take all my social media and just be stuck with the Twitter spaces, I'll be fine. But another battle that I'm having is that we're in a social media age. So if you're not on social media, you don't exist, which is a little bit annoying for me because, like, what do you even mean? Why must I be validated by the fact that I'm on a platform that was created by, you know, different skinned people in the system? Another way of putting people in the matrix.
Again, the system.
Social media is another matrix. And so now the matrix has to validate our existence. If it wasn't on Instagram, it's not real. If it wasn't tweeted, it's not real. Why is our life tied to the matrix? Why is our life tied to these platforms, these man-made platforms that are here to distract us, right? The amount of time I spent on TikTok. Do you know what I mean? Like sleeping at 1 a.m., laughing, giggling at your phone. It's dangerous. So
it's dangerous.
Anyways, I'm off ramping, but anyways, I'm figuring it out. Where to from here? I don't know. I don't know where to from here. But I believe that wherever it's taking me, it has music in it. You know, everywhere. Music is consistency in my life. It has saved my life many times, and it will continue to save my life. And it's clearly something that I'm very passionate about. So whether I'm talking about it or talking to it, whether I'm making it or whether I'm playing it, I think I'm just going to sit down for a bit and let the music guide me to where I need to go. So I really wish I knew where to from here, but I guess it's just being the African power pop girl, being myself, and where that leads me. Yeah.
Hey man, I'm not worried. You've done so much dope shit, like even if it doesn't come, it's fine. But I know for a fact it's gonna come, and you're gonna do some more dope shit. So kudos to you, man. And once again, thank you very much for honoring the invite. And it's a wrap. And also shout out to everyone that has been commenting. I just want to call them by name, quick. Vanessa, Tomu, shout out. I've already shouted out the others. Oh, actually, yeah, it's Vanessa only. I've already shouted out the others. Thank you so much, man. I really enjoyed this. I really appreciate you for doing this. And let's have a good night. Oh, we just spoke for 2 hours.
Radio show vibe. Thank you so much, Ben.
Radio show vibes, eh? Thank you. Peace. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.